Hello, everyone. I appreciate you for tuning in. In today's video, I want to talk about preparation for the NCE exams. So I just want to hit the elephant in the head. I don't want to hit nothing, but I want to address the elephant in the room as soon as we begin here. So that is when it comes to taking this exam, I think we receive so many different feedbacks and opinions throughout grad school, throughout your internship experiences, throughout your classmates, your coworkers. Everyone's telling you different things. Some people are saying you should take it directly after you graduate, you get your master's degree. Other people are saying it doesn't matter, take a few years off. There is no correct answer. I think you got to start with self reflection. There are some people when they're graduating, they are now moving cities, returning home. They are searching for a job. There are so many different things that are taking place at that time. You are also this may be the first time you get a break from being a student in several years if you went all the way through for grad school from your undergrad, or even still grad school is a long experience. So that in itself could be a moment where somebody wants a moment to breathe, to take a break. They want to take that student hat off. With that said, really take a moment to check in about your mental bandwidth. Where are you at? Are there other priorities and things that you need to focus on before you can start, worrying about the NCE exam? My best advice is I do think you should try to take that exam, within the year of your graduation, because you don't want to lose and forget all of the information, some of the things that were covered throughout your coursework. And I also just think that gave me, in my case, it was enough time for that transition period. It allowed me to move home and allowed me to get more comfortable with my job, this new full-time job that you have, and just honestly take that hat off of being the student, allowed me to kind of just adjust. And that is something that I thought was really helpful, because it was the first time I didn't have to worry about classwork, so to speak. Taking a moment to take your foot off the gas pedal, I think, is important. But ultimately, when I did start preparing for the NCE exam, I did it in a way that I felt was sustainable. I wasn't studying every night for hours on end. I simply did 30 minutes of studying a day. Um, Throughout the first 30 minutes of my shift at work. That was the time period. It was downtime. It's early in the morning. I'm not really impacted by any of my clients. I'm not impacted by. I don't have to. I'm not expected to be in any meetings at this current time. So it was also a time period where I had the mental energy to, soak up any information that I may come across in the readings. So that kind of takes me to my next point. Um, you got people telling you should be using, the apps. You should be paying for the study guides. You should be looking at the Purple Book. You should be looking at the videos online. There's so many different resources that can be used to help you prepare for this exam. Me personally, I just went on Amazon. I purchased an old, used copy of the Purple Book, and I would literally just read whatever I could within that time period of 30 minutes. And I created my own study guide. I was doing this on a budget, because that was super important at that time period, right? I was just coming out of grad school. It was my first real job. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't spending my money on excessive things that I could find another way to save my coin. So with that said, again, a used book. I created my own study guide, and my study guide just consisted of honestly me just reading and just jotting down things that I thought were important for me to come back to. And that was something that I was able to turn back to, just a little document that I created for just quick study sessions, as I was leading up to the days of taking the exam. That was very helpful, it was cheap, and I was, at this point, I've been able to share with some of my classmates when, they checked in with me to see, hey, like, where are you at in this process? What's working well for you? So it was free. It was, in some ways it was free, it was cheap, and it's something that I get to share with the rest of my personal network. I do want to take a moment to touch upon procrastination, because that was a part of my process. There were some times where I had no motivation to study. I was inconsistent where I would be studying for hours at one point and then, not touching the book for a week or two. that did happen at that beginning stage because I recognized I was doing too much, right? I had to come up with just the basic SMART goal, something that I felt was, realistic and something I could do on a consistent basis. And that was just cutting it down to 30 minutes. That was just creating a study guide that allowed me to come back to that information without having to open that book, because the book I got was kind of dusty, not gonna lie. So it allowed me to then, during the weekend, during the workday, whatever it may have been, take a look at my phone because it was a digital study guide that I created, and it just allowed me to flow at my pace. You have to find what works for you. And in a lot of ways, I think the pressure that is on us to take this exam, excel, do it as quick as possible. I think it is unrealistic and it just causes a lot more anxiety that is necessary. Um, I want to now just take a moment to talk about that exam process. I did pass the exam, on my first go around. However, showing up the day of, to take the exam, I didn't care what it looked like. I didn't care if I didn't do well. This was just an experience. The hardest part is done. You got your master's degree. Now you just need to, really obtain and just make sure you have a diverse understanding of some of the things that may be on the NCE. So again, take a moment to really review the information that is online that gives you the breakdown of the different areas that's on the NCE, as well as just be honest with yourself about what it is that you feel comfortable and confident with, the basic preparation for any exam, and then brush up on those things that you feel you don't know that well. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, like, follow, share, whatever it is for you to stay connected with my community. Share with anyone that you think can benefit from it. And drop down your tips below about what was helpful for you or what you want to see next on the channel. Take care.